The metallic scraping at my garage lock woke me before the sun was up. 7 a.m. on a Sunday, and my HOA president Victoria Stone was standing outside my house with her so-called master key trying to break in. She thought she was about to get her hands on the one thing she'd been after for months. What she didn't know was that my son, Detective David Morgan, was already inside waiting with a federal warrant. My name's John Morgan. I'm 60 years old, a disabled vet, and a widower trying to keep it together after losing my wife Maria a year and a half ago. Maria's heart gave out while I was at a VA appointment. 40 years together gone in a blink. After she passed, my garage became my sanctuary. Every thread, every fabric box, her sewing machine still arranged the way she left it. And in the middle of it all, a mahogany jewelry box with brass fittings and a lock I never learned the code to. She said one day she'd show me the combination, but that day never came. 2 months after her funeral, Victoria swooped into our neighborhood like a vulture. Somehow she rigged an election and got herself named president of the HOA. At first, she played the caring neighbor casseroles, fake sympathy elderly services brochures I never asked for. But every time she crossed my threshold, her eyes went straight to that jewelry box like a heat-seeking missile. She ran her fingers along the brass corners, took photos for insurance, asked if it had been appraised. Not once did she care about its history. She studied that lock like a thief casing a target. Then the citations started. Vague legal letters about garage storage violations and compliance deadlines that didn't even exist in the bylaws. She fined me hundreds for leaving my late wife's belongings where they were. She even suggested maybe I'd be safer in assisted living where my valuable items could be properly secured. Translation, give her the box, or she'd find a way to push me out of my own home. I tried to brush it off at first, but the harassment never stopped. She filed a fake report to the IRS accusing me of hiding money in antiques. Spray-painted accusations showed up on my garage door, welfare fraud. And one night I smelled the sting of acid. The lock on Maria's box had been corroded by some professional chemical. This wasn't just nosy neighbor stuff. This was calculated crime. For a while I doubted myself. Grief does that. I sat awake in the dark, wondering if maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was just a paranoid old man with too many ghosts rattling around. I nearly gave up, nearly convinced myself to let her take whatever she wanted just to be left alone. But then I found Maria's notebooks hidden behind stacks of quilting magazines. Page after page of meticulous records. HOA meetings, shell companies, forced sales, inflated repair costs. My wife, the woman I thought just liked quilting and community potlucks, had been building a case like a federal prosecutor. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was documenting a criminal network that preyed on widows, veterans, anyone too vulnerable to fight back. She'd been battling Victoria's kind long before I noticed. That's when I picked up the phone and called my son. David and I hadn't spoken much since Maria's funeral, but when I told him what was happening, his voice shifted from son to detective in an instant. Dad, this isn't just HOA harassment. This is organized crime. Don't touch a thing. I'm coming over. Within days, my garage turned into a staging ground. David brought in his partner, Detective Smith, and a federal agent named Harris. Turns out Maria had already contacted their office months before she died. They'd been waiting for a reason to reopen her case. And now, with the notebooks, the photographs, and my testimony, they had one. The night before Victoria's final move, I sat staring at that jewelry box. Her latest notice said she'd be there at 7 a.m. for an emergency estate inspection. This time, she was coming to take it, no more pretending. I kept hearing Maria's last hospital words, words I once dismissed as confusion. Our love story holds every important number. It hit me then. September 14th, 1985, our first date. March 7th, 1962, her birthday. My shaking hands turned the dials, and with a soft click the lock surrendered. Inside was a USB drive and a tiny video screen. Maria's face flickered to life. "My darling John," she said, steady, "even in those final recordings, if you're seeing this, Victoria targeted our family like she has so many others. This USB holds everything they'll need to stop her. Give it to Agent Harris." Her voice cracked just once before she smiled. All my love forever. I barely had time to wipe my eyes before morning came. Right on schedule, Victoria strutted up my driveway, professional heels clicking, lock-picking tools in hand. She called out with that fake authority she always used, "John Morgan, this is a mandatory inspection under HOA authority. Open up immediately, or I'll exercise emergency access protocols." 30 seconds later, she picked the lock like she'd done it 100 times. The garage door rolled up, and there she stood, smug, triumphant, convinced she'd finally won. "John, we can make this simple," she started. But then she froze. David stepped out from behind the shelves, badge gleaming, body camera recording. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for criminal trespass, attempted burglary, destruction of federal evidence, and conspiracy to commit wire fraud." Her face twisted through denial, anger, bargaining. "Officer, this is official HOA business. You're making a mistake." That's when Agent Harris walked in, warrant in hand. "Victoria Stone, you are under arrest for mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy across multiple jurisdictions, and elder abuse resulting in wrongful death." That last charge hit her like a bullet. Her knees buckled, and for once she had nothing to say. Rebecca Wilson, her own secretary, appeared with months of recorded conversations revealing she'd been an informant all along. Neighbors gathered outside, watching their powerful HOA president led away in handcuffs, her mask of authority shattered. I didn't cheer, I didn't gloat, I just stood in the middle of my garage. Maria's garage, knowing justice had finally caught up to the woman who thought she could bully, intimidate, and steal without consequence. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Sometimes the greatest weapon against corruption isn't strength or anger, it's evidence, patience, and the courage to finally fight back.